The problem that most players are facing is really simple but costly. It's the fact that they're mostly using their arm to generate more speed on their serve. And this sounds like, what's wrong with that? But here's the thing. By using your arm, you're losing control and you're actually gonna slow or cap yourself on how much power you can create. That over time, your arm gets tired. Have you ever finished a match and then later on that night and the next day, your arm was completely sore? It's because you're using too much of your arm on your serve. So the biggest thing that holds most players back is that we watch pros serve and we think of the form instead of the function, meaning that we see their arm moving as fast as possible and we think that's it. That's gonna be the key to me having the big serve. Well, it's not, because we don't understand the function. When we follow that form, we become misinformed about what's important. And we ask our arm to do a job that is not designed for, which is trying to throw my racket or move my racket as fast as possible. The core concept that I want you to understand is that your arm is a passenger. It's a passenger. Think about a car. If you're a passenger in a car and you're not wearing your seatbelt, and suddenly that car comes to a screeching halt, what happens? You get jolted forward as the passenger not wearing a seatbelt. That energy of the car gets transferred to you. And so the car is really the engine while the arm is a passenger. And this is the key, to understand that your arm is the passenger and your hips are the car. And the more I start revving up my engine or my car to go faster, the more power we can then transfer to my arm, because my arm shouldn't be creating the force. So let's take a moment and let's go see how the pros do this. First, we're gonna look at Yannick Sinner. And the first thing you can see is, as he goes back, he's loaded up his hip and he's about to put his arm on stretch by moving it back. Now that his arm's on stretch, he's pushing up and he's going to rotate his hips now to make his arm a passenger and have it go up towards contact. Hips rotating, pulling his arm. Also notice his chest facing up to the sky as the torso right here rotates, and it rotates the arm into contact. You can see how his chest is facing up, his shoulders on stretch, and it rotates up into contact as his hip stops. One more quick look, we're gonna look at Djokovic as he takes his racket up. His hips are prepared by being loaded. He'll move this arm back to put it in a stretch position. And now the hips fire, making the arm a passenger. Rotate up, contact. Also again, noticing how his chest right here is looking straight up. Now we're gonna take a look at some of the ladies. We're gonna look at Coco Gauff. Notice how she's rotated her hips back. Her arm's gonna be in that stretch position in 1 second, right there. And now she's gonna push up and rotate her hip around and up. Again, chest facing up, arm in that stretch position, sending the racket up to contact. Now let's look at Iga. Same thing. She loads into that back leg and back hip. The racket falls back, putting the shoulder on stretch. Her chest is facing up, rotates the hips, and the arm goes up into contact, making sure that her arm's simply a passenger on the trip. Now that we understand that we want our arm to be a passenger, let's do some progressions to start working on this. First, I want you to shake out your arm and walk up to a line just like you're gonna serve. Now from here, I want you just to focus on rotating your hips. So I'm gonna have both of my weight probably center right now and just rotate back and forth. Now if my arm is loose right now, you can already see some movement in my arm because my hips are moving. And so I'm gonna start swaying back and forth and up and back. And you almost get like this figure 8 that comes from your arm because my rotation is going forward and back. And this is just to get you to feel how your hips can rotate. Next, we wanna connect this to ground force. What I mean is, if I were to jump, what I need to do is push on the ground and then I can jump up. Now, when we rotate back and I push against the ground, this allows me, when I push up, to rotate my hip going up. And so now my arm can start generating even more force because now I'm pushing against the ground using my back leg to get this hip to fire moving forward. And this is now a huge connection to what creates power.
Now listen to what Dr. Mark Kovac, who is an expert on biomechanics, says. He's going to tell you what the most important part of creating power is.
How quickly it goes from the lowest point of the load to the highest point. So vertical displacement is called. Vertical displacement of the back hip. That's the most important factor actually, more than anything else, because if that doesn't happen right, then you have to make up for that lack of velocity in other parts of your body.
Now we need to understand what needs to happen with the racket. We worked on being loose, and we need to talk about what are the correct positions and angles that allow us to use our arm as a passenger. The first position and angle is this L shape, and then generally this is going to be in some shape or fashion here. What you want to avoid is the arm getting too long here, and so it's going to generally be from here to here. What this does, it puts my shoulder in a position to be stretched, and so if you notice that my shoulder can move both externally and internally. And as I move externally, it starts to stretch. If I can use that or learn to use that with my hip to really generate a lot more racket hit speed. Now, there's two things that need to happen. My arm needs to stretch externally, but also needs to supinate. And this will happen when you're holding the racket. Now, to put this all together really simply, Vic Braden has a really kind of interesting way of saying how to get the racket to go where he wants. And he talks about having from the hand to the head, the tip of the racket is going to go through here. What that's doing is two things. It's supinating here, and when we supinate, we can also pronate, but it's also stretching the shoulder. So you have these two different actions that are coiling up and getting prepared, so when our hips launch, we can take all that energy and send forward. So how do we do it? Start with your racket up here, and you want to make sure this is nice and loose. Instead of just going straight back, what we're going to do is take my hand and allow my hand to basically take the tip of the racket through this hole between my hand and my head. And so when it does that, it puts both a supinated stretch on my forearm and an external stretch on my shoulder. This is key because when I allow my racket to get in position here, now I can fire the hip. And with my shoulder already stretched, all the energy goes up and forward. So you can see this by if I grab this ball here and just simply relax my shoulder, and as I turn, it's going to get stretched externally, and that external stretch is then going to get returned internally. And this is a great drill just to feel this. The timing here is that I want to make sure my arm gets to this position, so when my hip gets to throw, it stretches my forearm, and then I stop. That stopping action is just like we talked about with that car stopping. All the energy gets thrown forward. And so a drill I call the 1-2 stop. So basically, it's going to go 1, boom, my shoulder's going to get into this externally rotated position. 2, I'm going to fire my hip, and then I'm going to stop my hip. So 1-2 stop. 1-2 stop. And I have to make sure I'm really loose here to let that energy flow through my arm. So the key metric of when we do this is we want to make sure that elbow's not leading first, and that what leads is once we get our external shoulder rotation is we're going to lead with my hip, and this causes that stretch. You'll see this, then it stops. And so here, you can see how I'm getting a lot of pace. But now we have one more issue, is that we're directing our pace forward, or my energy forward. I need to direct it up. And so the analogy I use is, if you think about a football player, or even a baseball player, if a football player is going to throw a Hail Mary, meaning a very high pass, he's going to lean back to reorient his body to throw the ball up. Just if a baseball player is going to throw the ball really high, he'd lean back to throw the ball up. We want to create the same action. What this does, it changes the angle of my chest. When you look at really good servers, what you find is when they get into this position, they'll go up, 1-2, and boom, their chest is facing up. So when they start firing the hips, the rotation is what a lot of coaches call shoulder over shoulder. And you get to this by this stretch. Now, there's different for different players. Some players don't achieve a full stretch of their thoracic back, and that's totally fine. But you do want to achieve some sense of making sure your motion's going up to achieve this. Now, the reason why we want to do this is because it starts adding spin, that we can start bringing the ball down to the court and have higher margins above the net. And so now, if I bring my racket up, I'm going to reorient my body, so when my arm falls in this position, I can just simply send it up. What I recommend is doing some shadow swings, getting used to getting your arm in the right position and throwing your racket up. Once we get there, you can start tossing the ball and doing the exact same thing. How you know if you're doing this right is you'll achieve more margin above the net while still keeping the pace. Now, really important is not to pull down. And so a drill I do with some students is this. Generally, I have my racket almost this high, and imagine or tell them that when they're tossing the ball, they need to try to hit the ball into my racket. Most players would actually think of hitting the ball below my racket because they're coming down. And so you have this imaginary racket up here, and I'm going up to it. And you can see the margin I get while maintaining my pace. Now, here's a couple common mistakes that players make when they do this. First of all, they're too stiff in their shoulder. So a lot of times it gets really muscled here. And it generally gets muscled because the tip of the racket isn't going through. So you have one of two things that happen. A, they'll be here and the racket goes straight back and it gets really tight because we're limited on our rotation. Whereas if it came through here, you have more range of rotation. The other thing is the elbow starts dropping too low. So if you notice here, when my elbow is nice and high, I can reach all the way back here. So two things are happening. I have external shoulder rotation and I have supination. Now, watch what happens as I bring my elbow down. Now, I'm not trying to bring my elbow my hand this way. But as I bring it down, it's going to naturally come this way and I can't reach back. You can try it at home to see. So it's really important as I go through my motion that I keep my elbow up to find that range so I have external shoulder rotation and supination. So elbow down is going to prevent that from happening. If you like this video, make sure you check out this video because it'll definitely help you with your forehand. And having a serve plus your forehand is probably one of the most powerful patterns you can have as a tennis player.